Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Rod Pedersen Show on Access Now across this wonderful province of Saskatchewan. Loaded up and ready to go is the president of the Regina Red Sox, Gary Brotzel. Very big announcement on Wednesday. The plans for a new downtown Regina ballpark unveiled. John Frenzy's here. And just before we bring in Brods, Lynch, you're excited, man, about the ballpark. What do you think?
Yeah, I am.
What did you think when you heard the news?
Very excited. Been talked about for years. Harvey Johnson was big on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great. It's going to be a great idea. And it'll go over real big, right next to the casino. Oh, that'll be a gold mine.
Well, it's a jewel for the whole city.
That's right. Good way to put it. A jewel for the whole city.
And a lot of our viewers, of course, they know the area. They're watching across Saskatchewan. Let's bring in Gary Brotzel, now the president of the Regina Red Sox. And Gary, you know that I know this goes back quite some time to get to the day, Wednesday, where you unveiled the new ballpark. I'd love to know what happened leading up to it.
Well, like you mentioned, for me personally, I think you've hosted our dinner many times. You heard me talk about this going back 10 years. We kind of thought the end of life for Curry Field was about 1995. But anyway, I've been kind of working quietly in the background trying to get this project going. Met numerous times with Councillors O'Donnell and Hinks, Terry Hinks over coffee, and did a lot of brainstorming. And what it took was our partnership that we have joined forces with Living Sky Sports and Entertainment really kind of put us over the top on moving this forward.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary, and Lynch, we just talked last week with Jim Lawson from Woodbine. You know Jim Lawson, formerly from the CFL. It takes movers and shakers. And Living Sky Sports just came on my radar with this soccer facility in Saskatoon and getting a pro soccer tie. I don't even know who they are. They're aggressive. So you need to tell me how they came into the picture, Living Sky Sports.
Well, that's a long story. Well, actually, it's a short story. Of course, Al, through his affiliation there with Prairie Land and trying to bring
Al
the
Simpson.
Canadian...
Al Simpson,
Al
right?
Simpson, correct, yeah. Al, good Regina guy, has the best intentions for our partnership, just wants to see Regina get some better facilities built. He just thinks we've come into life on a lot of them, you know, other than the football stadium and maybe Cooperator Center. Everything else is getting a little long in the tooth. So just to continue with my story, he was working with Prairie Land, obviously, on the soccer, and they've got 160 acres there, and they were brainstorming as to what else they could get going out there. And they proposed baseball, and Al, knowing quite a bit about the WCBL, phoned our team president, Kevin Kavami, in Lethbridge, and asked what it would take to get a team going in Saskatoon, other than maybe building a stadium there. Kevin put him in touch with Bernie Eisworth, my general manager, who is on the expansion committee for the WCBL. The two of them met, discussed the situation in Saskatoon. Bernie kind of mentioned that Curry Field was getting a little long in the tooth, and then Al kind of switched gears and said, hey, let's get something going into Regina, and I'll circle back on Saskatoon down the road. So just a fantastic partnership that we formed with him. We're very lucky. He's exactly what I needed. I'm just a regular guy trying to run a baseball team here. I have the ideas, but I don't have the way to push this agenda forward. So, and Al seems to be taking the leadership on that. I'm perfectly fine with it, and it's working out great.
Yeah, it's a good partnership.
Okay, what is your next step, actually, Gary?
Well, we have presented to City Council. We did that last Wednesday, not at a council meeting, on a different virtual event, and some of the executive were there. We've pitched the idea. A lot of the councillors thought it was fantastic. We've drawn up a letter of intent that's been sent to the city. It's a non-binding agreement, and all we're really asking from them is to sign the letter of intent. And let's get together and put our heads together and see if we can move this project forward.
What are you looking at as a potential date to get things going?
Oh, I'd like to break ground next spring if we could. Stadiums like this, there's similar stadiums going up in Alberta in our league. I think Alberta has 8 stadiums, baseball stadiums. Saskatchewan has 0. Sylvan Lake's building one very similar. Our Edmonton Prospects are building a very similar, maybe even a bigger project in Spruce Grove. So, you have Sylvan Lake, population 15,000, going ahead with a stadium like this. We feel that, we could do it in Regina. Sylvan Lake they broke ground last March, and they were prepared to play in it this year. So you can get a park like this built and serviceable in 12 to 15 months if you put your mind to it.
So you're talking about 23 then, eh? 2023, we're going to open it?
Well, yeah, I would like to see that date. Maybe it's 2024. I don't know.
Well,
we got a long ways to go yet. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one thing I want to talk about. I don't know if the guys still have the photo of it or not, guys. If you do, let me know, and we'll flash it up on the screen, because we showed it the other day when you made the announcement, Gary. But let's just talk about the Red Sox now. You just said your current ballpark outlived its usefulness. Here it is. Your current ballpark outlived its usefulness in 1995. There you see the photo of what we're talking about here. I absolutely love it. Let's just talk about this stadium and sell it a little bit to our viewers across the province,
Sure.
Gary. You have one luxury suite at Curry Field. One. And you have a lineup as long as my arm to book it. What's this place got?
Well, that's got 11 skyboxes with outdoor seating in front, similar to what you would see at Mosaic. It's got a patio. We call it the college deck, a raised patio that would seat 150. If you pull up the video again, you can see down the left field line, there's actually retail space there where you could put a brew pub or a restaurant, and you can see the deck actually backs onto the field. Now, we don't know how that would play out. Maybe we just turn that portion over to a developer to try to develop that. I just want to touch base on that, the stadium phasing. What you see there is all 3 phases, and the beginning phase might just be the stadium, then you add on the retail part, and then there's provisions for a field house that you can actually see out in right field. So all told, when we talk about the $20 to $22 million price range, that's all in. You could build the base stadium, we think, for about $12 million. That wouldn't have the retail component.
3,500 fans you're expecting there at maximum. You're underdoing it. You should be looking at 5,000, don't you think? Maybe 8,000, because it's going to turn things on, don't you think, baseball-wise?
Yeah, I mean, Okotoks averages about 4,000 to 45. I think you could fit maybe 5 in there with standing room only. Like, there's lots of room on the concourse. There's lots of loge seating, lots of similar to Mosaic, where people can mull around and, stand up against a rail at one of the corners and watch a game. So I think you probably could fit 4,000 in there if you had to. And the stadium was built. There is room where it's designed to add raised bleachers in left field if you needed to down the road. So we just want to kind of build it and make sure it's expandable down the road.
I think, and I'm sure Rod will agree with me, if we get it going here, the other cities around the province will follow suit, and you'll see 3 or 4 more stadiums get built. Don't you think so?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I keep referring back to Okotoks, 30,000 people, and the average, or they're sold out almost every game. So, a city our size should be able to do it. And the people behind the project in Sylvan Lake, I know they have an influx of people there in the summer, being a resort town. But for a town of 15,000 to kind of spearhead a project like that, to me, is just phenomenal.
Hey, Gary, if you don't mind, this is all positive, but it's not positive for 2021 for the WCBL. Can you tell our viewers what's up for the Red Sox this year?
Yeah, we made the difficult decision to take a breather again. And in hindsight, I mean, we made that decision a few weeks ago, and in light of what's happening now, I think it was a pretty solid decision. I mean, we just couldn't envision getting our players on buses and playing 6 games a week without having some kind of an outbreak that you're seeing now with the Vancouver Canucks. That was my worst nightmare, trying to envision playing the way things are now. And of course, all our players have to go home to billets at the end of the day too. So we didn't want to risk our billets. And then of course you couple the testing, the cost of testing at $100 a player per week per player for 14 weeks. I mean, the costs were just getting out of control. I think testing alone was going to be $40,000. And then the border's not open, so we couldn't get our American players in, and it was just on and on and on. So, yeah, for us, probably maybe a month or two too late.
Yeah, has this taken years off your life as a sports team president in Canada, A, and B, how much you watch in the other teams, not just MLB, but other teams in Canada with what they're going through? Like, this is insane. You never thought you'd be dealing with this in your lifetime, Gary?
I did not, and you know, we've met literally weekly since January 5th, discussed every scenario under the that you could think of, and can we do this, can we do that? At the end of the day, no one really knew what was going to happen, probably not even the government, as far as, you know, are we going to have another wave, which I guess we are right now. So, yeah, it's been tough. I think we made the right decision. Our team's in good financial state right now, and I just didn't want to jeopardize it trying to play a season that could have been stopped really at any time.
Right. So having said that, when you look at what other leagues are doing, the CFL still going, not really canceling anything. Their costs are rising up versus the NLL mothballing, and the WHL going on here, and you know that's expensive. You must be like, are you thinking about how they're doing it, or are you just worrying about your own team?
Oh, I've talked to Stacy from the Pats. We met a couple times. He shared all the information that he had gotten back and all the things they were working at. So I definitely want to thank him. He actually saved us a ton of work because he had been working on it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I probably know more than what I had ever hoped I'd have to know.
Yeah. Well, Gary, good luck with this. Like I say, congrats on the announcement last Wednesday. And I only say that because I know how much work it was just to get there. And you got our support, whatever you need, man, moving forward. So thanks for all of this.
Should be great, Gary.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And like you said, all the people that are involved in sports have been great on social media, and do what you can do, promote it, email your city councilors, let them know you'd like to see this happen, and hopefully we can drum up enough community support to move this forward.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks, Gary.
Good.
Gary Brotzel, the president of the Regina Red Sox, of course, whose games air right here on Access Now. John Frenzy and I return after this break to talk about all of these topics and more. Stick around. You're watching the best of the week RPShow here on Access Now Television.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.